And next we will have a talk from Jessica A. Rodríguez, who will be talking about Hydra in Estuary.
Hi, let me share my screen. You can see my screen right now, right?
Yes, we can see it.
Sorry. Okay, so hi, I'm Jessica. I'm just going to talk about Estuary a little bit, and I'm just going to talk about Hydra in Estuary. But for the people that, like, if you don't know Estuary, I just shared the link on the chat, and you can go in. Just check. Sorry, let me just also share my sound. Yeah, it's sharing my sound. So you can also go in and just check the codes or the examples that I'm going to show directly on Estuary. So you can do that. So yeah, Estuary is it's a platform for collaboration and just live coding, and it has two main functions. The first one is that the idea is that we can add different languages in the same platform, so you can perform kind of like with different visual or audio logics, yeah, within the same screen. And the second one is that you can collaborate in multiple locations. Yeah, with through this model, which is collaborate. And this project is kind of like it's from David Ogburn, and it's made here at McMaster, and a lot of like students as me have been kind of like part of this ongoing work with Estuary. Right now, we are just like, I have a work as a research assistant, so for that reason, I'm doing my PhD here at McMaster in Canada, and I work right now in Estuary, and I help to implement different things. But right now, we also have Luis Navarro and Alejandro Franco, which they are both also doing their PhDs here. But yeah, there are a lot of like people that and collaborators that have been helping with Estuary through like many years, and obviously also like people like Alex McLean or Olivia, who has also like help with kind of like applying these languages. So right now we have tidal cycles, like a version of tidal cycles, Punctual, which is a language that is made by David Ogburn for audio and visual synthesis, Time Note, which is kind of like a language made by Alejandro Franco that makes sounds, and it kind of like plays with temporal canons. Seis Octavos, that is made by Luis Navarro and kind of like exploring Latinx genres, musical genres. Cine Cero, which is basically kind of like implementation of Cine Vivo by Esteban Betancourt, but it's kind of like different because obviously we had to kind of like change the syntax, so it's kind of like, it's more like inspired, more than being an implementation of Cine Vivo, it's more like inspired in Cine Vivo. It's more to work with videos and text in a kind of like more related to live coding and live cinema, or those kind of like practices where you can show the video and just change the video in visual terms, like the size, the speed, and the color, and other things. And yeah, last year we started working on implementing Hydra, and I've been working with that alongside with David. So David basically made all the implementation of the render in Estuary, and I've been kind of like implementing all the functions, because Estuary is I can share my screen here. Estuary is made in Haskell, and is using, because it's on web, is using a library that is called Haskell Reflex, which, because we have to implement that for web. So we do have to kind of like translate everything, all the Hydra functions into Haskell, and basically parse all of those functions using the parsec library here in Haskell. So not everything is implemented. For example, like today, I just found out that I forgot to implement Hue, for example. Yeah, and also kind of like I have to source it has a parameter, so, and also div, so the div function. So yeah, not everything is implemented, and I will tell you which of these things are implemented. So sorry, I'm gonna just close this. We have a Discord, so this is the link for the Discord if you want to just join. So basically, I will just go to collaborate because I already have some codes running. This is kind of like also the way that you can collaborate with people in other parts or just like in other locations. And yeah, I can add the Discord link in a second. So yeah, so I'm gonna go in. I'm just gonna go into the ensemble. It doesn't have, you can go in because it doesn't have any password right now, like these ones that I'm showing. And my computer is super slow because it doesn't like handle Zoom and and Estuary. Yeah, but basically this is Estuary, this is Hydra. This is I forgot to say that this is also kind of like a project funded by the Social Science and Humanities Research Council here in Canada. So it's kind of like being like this part of the government is kind of like been funding Estuary for many years, and basically thanks to that I have a work. I have a job here. So yeah, so this is kind of like we also have this network imagination laboratory, which is kind of like the research group that is working here in Estuary. So yeah, basically here is Hydra, it's running, and actually it's a code by Flor de Fuego. And if you kind of like, if you want to go and see what's kind of like the main differences between, or which functions, for example, are not implemented here in Hydra Estuary yet, you can go to the question mark, and then you can also check like kind of like the other some of the other languages or some information about the other languages. And then if you go to Hydra, I have kind of like some examples that you can run, and then kind of like some of the things that are not currently working in Hydra in Estuary. So one of like the main thing is that you cannot use anonymous functions yet. So yeah, so you cannot use like these kind of like examples or anything that is kind of like related to anonymous functions is not yet implemented. Audio functions are not yet implemented either. The other thing that I have to kind of like update this information is that you cannot do kind of like those things like divide numbers or multiply like or sum numbers. Like those are the main things that are not yet implemented. And there are also like a very big difference between like working with Hydra, which is, I'm gonna go into another code. I'm sorry if my computer is so slow. So I'm gonna go to Hydra, the first example. I'm just gonna play it. Okay, so yeah, so this is another code by Andromeda from the Hydra website. If you can see, like every time that you end like a line of code with like the output or whatever, like every time that you want to like kind of like evaluate a line of code and then do like another one, you do have to separate each one by semicolon. This is kind of like sounding, but it's not sounding very well. So yeah, so if you see, there's the first line of code, it has a semicolon in at the end. Then the second line, it has a semicolon. The third one, a semicolon, and the fourth one also. But the last one, it doesn't really need a semicolon to at the end. So, but like all the lines or all the blocks of code, they need to be separated by a semicolon, and that's kind of like the big difference between using Hydra in Atom or Hydra in its web type and using Hydra here in Estuary. So you can, if you want to hear, there's like, I wanted to show you like how, yeah, you can work with different languages at the same time. In this case, using Minitidal and Hydra, yeah, in the same kind of like window. The second example, it's, I have an example here. I'm just going to log in without like using my name. I don't remember which one is this one. I think it's the one that has, yeah, like 6 octavos. It also has like Cine Cero here, just has Walter Mercado here. So yeah, basically, this tema that I was kind of like saying, this time what I was saying,
nacimiento de familia
lower
grande,
volume here.
celebra año de risa.
Yeah, every time that you kind of like end a block of code, you have to add a semicolon. Like obviously because you can go into these ensembles because there will be a like available for like a day or so. You can even go and just change things if you want. This is like the cumbia. Like if you see, there's like a lot. There are like a lot of language that you can play with. There are like these like mini tidal. 6 octavos, punto al cinecero, and Hydra are kind of like the main ones, or like language by themselves. And also, I forgot the time note. But the other ones that you see, for example, La Calle, Susi X, Togo, Leer, Observar, all those are actually just parsers. So that's kind of like an interesting thing about Estuary, that you can also do parsers. You could also do parsers and just parse Hydra. And actually, David is kind of like implementing a way to do those parsers in an easier way, like, or just like using this instead of like going and download the Estuary code and do everything. So just if you want to know more, like there is like JSON Langs, that's kind of like the name of the implementation. You can go into that channel on Estuary Discord, and you can have more information. So yeah, there are different examples. For example, number 3, if you want to go in, it has 2 languages that are more like for voice, and it's working with the init screen function from Hydra. And I just want to say that for like each module of code, it's separate. So for example, here I'm running this code, but like not necessarily like I cannot do that with all of them at the same time, because it's not going to work. Like every time that I use like a block of code or this kind of like code editor, each code editor is kind of like a new layer. So yeah, so it won't work if you would like to just render in each kind of like editor a different line of code. So you have these 4. So it won't work that way. So I just wanted to say that, because that's also like something that you won't be able to do, just to interconnect two of these right now. So I don't know if you have questions. There's also like, obviously, Estuary, there are a lot of things that you can customize. For example, you can get rid of this part. You can get rid of this section, which is the terminal, this section. You can even change the theme. So get rid of these lines also, and do different arrangements. So yeah, so I don't know if you want to ask something, or you do have a question.
Thank you so much, Jessica. That was really great. And it's amazing to see all the work that you've done with this in the last month or so. I think we have time for one question. If anyone has something they want to ask.
Abhinay is raising his hand.
Hey, is my mic working now? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I've been actually playing with this for a while. I think we can't use any variables also, from what I understand, and no sources. Like we can't mix different sources, can we? Like different.
Yeah,
renders.
the source. I actually implement that, like the init screen, and for example the function and the image function and the source function. I just like implemented like last week or something. So it's in the new version. Like right now, they are available. The only thing that I just kind of like saw in one example is that, for example, source, it does have like a second parameter So you cannot do that. That will give you like a syntax error. So right now you just can use without any other like extra parameter. But I will fix that later. But you can work with source and with these other functions.
And can we do like time manipulations, like just a basic time, like changing one of the parameters in any way?
No, you cannot. Like right now, you cannot do that. Those kind of functions or variables.
Okay, basically no JS, just Hydra, I suppose.
Yeah, right now, like obviously in the future, like we're going to implement that. But like David, for example, who's the one that knows more about how to implement that in Haskell, it's more like right now he's more focused on fixing first the JSON lang, for example. But after that, like we will work in that implementation.
David was, I think, telling me that there is a way you can actually put in GLSL straight away and then make that work with Hydra. That could be a nice thing to play with.
Yes.
I think you can use hash GLSL with punctual if you use that, and then you can just throw in your GLSL code if you want to like mix up Hydra with like some uh, uh, like parameters that are animated.
Yes, that's true. Is that's true. In Puntual, you can use the GLSL editor. It's just like a line of code that you add, and then you can like just go and write your directly. But yeah, we don't have that in Hydra. But yeah, it would be a nice way to implement it, like similarly.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I think we have to move on now to our last speaker, but I want to give a round of applause. And yeah, everyone, if you want to turn on your mic really quick and be like, "Yay, thank you." That was really amazing. Just the idea of parsing Hydra to Haskell and then executing it as JavaScript is like a little mind blowing to me. And yeah, feel free to follow up with Jessica about that and to check out Estuary. And next, our last speaker we have is Richie. So
Hi.
welcome, Richie.
Hello, how's everyone doing?